Hello and welcome to this first program. I'm going to be actually doing a structure by the name of the students. We're going to have a full name, so be aware of the fact that we're going to be using the get char function because scanf is not going to be sufficient. Then I'm going to be reading three tests for the each students when I get to declare as many as record as I need. Then I'm going to calculate the average. We could do any sort of calculation. It doesn't have to stick in our mind one way or the other. So this is the structure, the actual building of the structure by the name of students. We have the full name. I'm going to give it 30. I could give it 50 basically. And also, I need to stop the program before I run. Okay, there's some running here mode. Going to go 50. Then we have the float test 1, float test 2, float test 3, float the average, and don't forget the semicolon after that closing brace. So here I'm declaring as two record of type students, students 1 and students 2. Since I'm going to be using a loop to read the name, I'm going to declare I as a variable, and also I'm going to be declare the placeholder C. So let's read the first data for the students. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and redo this because it's easier for you to walk you through it. First of all, we need to prompt the user to enter the full name for the first students. Here we go. Okay. And remember, the full name has a space, so we need to start with a loop for I. Start with 0. I'm going to take my time now, and we're going to say here C is going to get the data from get char. Don't forget the parentheses. The whole thing must not be equal to the new line in order for the reading to continue. And then we have plus plus I or I plus plus. It doesn't matter. And we're going to go ahead and open a brace. And remember, C is going to be inserted inside that array of characters. Now, the array of characters, it's part of a record. The record that I'm actually dealing with now, it's called ST1. That's the first students. And the name of the array is full name. And of course, don't forget, because the index must be there, knowing that we're reading it one character at a time. And that's basically what it is. And after the loop, we're going to actually do this. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, Control C, and paste it here, okay, and insert that null character at the end of this. And you notice here, I'm actually trying to test everything I work for, just to go ahead and see if the full name is going to be read correctly and printed. That's probably the hardest thing about this program, is to be able to really read the first name, then easy to read the three tests and calculate their average very quickly. So let's go ahead and run this, and we'll see how it's going to come. As you notice here, it says enter the full name for the first students, and I'll say here James Roberts. Okay, and we should be able to print it. Okay, full name is James Roberts. So we are in good shape. We are able to read the first name, full name completely. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to continue with that code by reading three tests. I'm going to say here printf enter the three tests. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and do it all at once. So we're going to go ahead and save scanf, %f, %f. Then after that, formatting strings for scanf, we're going to go ahead and say st1.test1 ampersand st1.test2 and ampersand st1.test3. That will guarantee that I have the three tests. And after that, we could go ahead and say the st1.average is going to be tested. st1.test1 plus st1.test2, okay, plus st1.tested3, and the whole thing is divided by 3 to find the average for the first students. So what we're going to do in order to do the second students is really not to reinvent the wheel. It's very easy to go ahead and knowing that we have done it successfully for the first, I could go ahead and copy this. And actually, let's go ahead and copy the whole thing here. And I'm going to paste it right here, but I have to be very careful about my wording. Let's go ahead and do that for the second students. Now, everything has to be pertaining to the second students. Okay, so this is also going to be the second record, and second record, and the same thing for the average, which we're going to go ahead and get that really in a second. Okay, 1 second here. Just to get this a little bit clearer here. So it will be on the screen, and this is going to be ST2 and ST2, ST2, and ST2. All record have the same member. So now we'll say if we wanted to find their average, I could print the average of each student. I'll say here printf the average for the first students is, or here we go, percentage point to f, and that's going to be here we go, s1.avg, and I could say the average printf the average for the first second students. All right, I could go ahead and align those, and it's going to be percentage point to f slash n, that is st2.avg. If I want to find the average for both of them, I'll say here, let me go ahead and get that. Okay. Say here, printf the average for both the students. Going to be, I'm going to do the calculation directly in the printf. It's going to be st1.avg plus st2.avg divided by 2. That will give me the average for both of them. All right, let's go ahead and run this and see how it's going to work. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move this a little bit up so it'll be close to it. And you could scroll back and forth with your pause your screen to see how it's going to work. Okay, so this is basically, you can take a screenshot, and here we go. We're going to run this, and hopefully we don't have any error. Good. Say here, James Roberts, that's the first students. I made one mistake. I'll go ahead and fix it in a second. Enter a 3 test 90. It will take me directly to the, now it's going to prevent me from the reading. Immediately it's going to go to the test. I'll say no problem, stop. And I'm going to go ahead and, as I told you, before we read the second name, here we go, after we do the reading, where is it? Here we go. Enter the second student's name. Where is the second student's name? Here we go. Let's read it. So between the two reading, I'm going to go ahead and say get char, and that will actually observe. Will take care of that enter key so it doesn't confuse me in my reading. All right, so let's go ahead and do that one more time. I'm going to say here James Robert. Okay, and test is, let's say 90, 87, 86. Now it's going to ask me for the I should have said that the second students when I copied and paste, I didn't change it. I will go ahead and say, let's say Mary Perez, and let's say 90, 80. Here we go. And notice the average is there. The average for both of students. I did also an error there. I'm going to go ahead and fix it. If you notice here, I have to say percentage point to F. And also I will go ahead and do a slash, escape in. And one thing I have to do also here, the last name. So it'll be now perfect program. So let's go ahead and read it one more time without any error. Say here, James Roberts. And we're going to go ahead and say 90, 99, 93. Then the second student's Mary Perez. And we're going to say 100, 100, 100. And notice everything is going perfect here. And I hope you learned something through this. Watch it slowly, and hopefully you could run something like this. All right, I'll see you in the second program. Thank you.